Hello, fans. Today's game is sure to be a good one. Now set right there with your favorite snacks and let's meet our Lion of the Day.
Today's video is David Blough. He is represented by a 2019 Panini Contenders, base card number 214, a rookie card auto, slabbed by Stats Grading. If you watched the Detroit Lions in 2019, you remember the chaos, injuries, close losses, in a season that felt like it was held together with duct tape. And right in the middle of it, a brand new name suddenly became the starting quarterback on the biggest stage Detroit has every year, Thanksgiving. This is the story of David Blough, how he went from undrafted rookie to starting QB in Detroit in a matter of months, and why Lions fans still remember that first big throw. David Blough's NFL path didn't start with a first-round pick spotlight or a franchise quarterback announcement. He went undrafted in 2019, signed with Cleveland, and then just before the season, the Lions made a move. On August 30th, 2019, Detroit traded for Blough, swapping conditional seventh-round picks as part of the deal. A quiet transaction, the kind that barely makes headlines. At the time, he was basically a depth lottery ticket, a young quarterback with potential, insurance, development, maybe a future backup. But the NFL doesn't care about plans. The NFL cares about Sundays. Fast forward to late November. Detroit's quarterback room gets slammed by injuries, and suddenly the Lions are naming David Blough, a rookie most fans barely knew, as the starter for Thanksgiving against the Chicago Bears. That's not just any game. That's the game. National TV, family in the living room, turkey, stress, and Lions football. And on that stage, Blough didn't play scared. Early in the game, he dropped back and fired a pass that instantly became the signature highlight of his Lions career. His first NFL completion was a 75-yard touchdown to Kenny Golladay. Let that sink in. First completion, touchdown, 75 yards on Thanksgiving. By the end of the game, Blough threw for 280 yards and 2 touchdowns, going 22 for 38, and Detroit nearly pulled it off, eventually losing 24-20. Even in a loss, Lions fans saw something: confidence, arm talent, and a guy who was willing to swing. After Thanksgiving, the Lions kept rolling with Blough. And here's the honest truth: it wasn't pretty in the win column. Blough started 5 games in 2019, and Detroit went 0-5 in those starts. Statistically, he finished that stretch with 984 passing yards, 4 passing touchdowns, and 6 interceptions. So if you're looking at a box score years later, you might shrug. But if you remember that Lions season, you know what was happening. Detroit was beat up, trying to survive week to week, and Blough was thrown into a tough situation against real NFL defenses with limited prep time. And even then, he gave the Lions moments: deep shots, aggressive throws, and flashes that made you think, okay, there might be something here. Most NFL careers aren't about glory. They're about surviving the churn. Blough spent the next years in that grind, practiced squad moves, roster decisions, staying ready, staying sharp. The Lions waived him in September 2020, then brought him back on the practice squad. Later, he re-signed with Detroit in March 2022 and even made the initial roster. But at final cuts in 2022, the Lions chose a different backup direction. On August 31st, 2022, Detroit released Blough to make room for Nate Sudfeld. And if you've ever wondered how thin the margin is in the NFL, that's it. One roster decision, one spot, one day. Still, Blough stayed in the league and even returned to Detroit on the practice squad again in 2023. So what is David Blough's Lions legacy? He's not remembered as a long-term starter. He's remembered as the guy who got tossed into a storm on a holiday on national TV and immediately hit a 75-yard touchdown on his first completion. That's a moment. That's a "where were you, Lions" memory from a messy season. And it's also a reminder that the NFL is full of players who are this close, one opportunity, one stretch of games, away from changing their story. And Blough's story didn't stop with playing. He moved into coaching, and as of January 9th, 2026, reports say he was promoted to offensive coordinator for the Washington Commanders. From undrafted rookie to Lions Thanksgiving starter to NFL offensive coordinator. That's a wild football journey. If you enjoyed this deep dive Detroit Lions quarterback story, hit like, subscribe, and drop a comment with the next player you want me to cover, and I'll add them to the list.